Hi, everybody. I'm Mike, and this is Mike Miller Talks Life. Today's quote: "You never know what you can do until you try." Are you facing something new? Something you've never done before? Maybe life has changed and put you in a position that you have to do some things that you've never had to do, and it feels kind of overwhelming or impossible. I've never done this. Maybe it's going on with life after the loss of a loved one. Maybe it's facing cancer or the return of cancer. Maybe it's recovering from financial collapse. Maybe it's just walking every day after surgery or an injury and crashing through the pain. Maybe you're raising your grandchild now because the parents were unfit. Maybe you've been forced into a career change, or you have to keep the business going now that your spouse has passed on. Or it's a home repair, a car repair, fixing something around the house that's just broken and you need to get it dealt with. Or maybe you're just kind of interested in trying something new. Maybe a business venture, you have a little extra funds and you want to try something. Maybe you've been thinking about writing a book, or maybe you've been invited to take on a ministry in the church you attend. Start going to the gym, and you're just thinking, I don't know if I can do it, if I can finish it or do very good. It's kind of interesting that most of us can do more than we're currently doing. We don't have to look very far to find people who have done what they thought was impossible, and they pulled it off. I met a woman recently in a grief support class. We were co-facilitators in different groups, and she was a young woman. Her husband had passed away, and she was left with 3 kids to carry on. She learned to fix things around the house. She learned to fix some things on the car. She figured out how to manage their family finances. She dealt with the kids. They were older, so in high school, one was headed off to college. I was motivated by her. I'm sure there are many times she wanted to just give up and stop trying, but she was driven because she wanted her kids to make it through this. She wanted to make it through this, and she just dug deep and pulling it off. I met a woman recently, and she had to do some things around the house, and she wasn't sure how, and she watched a YouTube video and did some plumbing in the kitchen that she had never done before. Pulled it off. She couldn't afford a plumber. My niece, not official niece, but just someone who calls me Uncle Mike, her garage door broke. She watched a YouTube video. She thought through it. She pulled the motor off, repaired it, put it back, and the door works fine. People do things. It isn't possible to know what you can do until you give it a try, until you push yourself. Crash through the excuses and the quitting points and try to figure it out. Sometimes it's better when you're forced into doing it. C.S. Lewis said, added to that quote, we'll never know what we can do until we try. He added, and very few people try unless they have to. That's really true about us. And sometimes when you're just facing it and it has to get done, that's when you realize what you can do. I read an article in Inc. magazine, and they were talking about regrets, and they'd done a few studies, and they realized that the biggest regrets we have are not due to things we did that were not good things to do. We regret that, but the biggest regrets are the things we never tried. You know, we often settle for what is. We just settle and say, I can't, and leave it, or I don't know how, and leave it. Or I'm not good at that and leave it. I guess this is my new life now. And we sit in a house with things that aren't finished or aren't done, aren't repaired, and we just become comfortable with that. I've done that, and I know many of us have, and it's just trying to fix it. Or, I mean, for me, many times it's getting someone to fix it because I'm not a good fixer. But I was sort of challenged to try some of these things myself first. And it's sort of like, why not try to see what will happen? You might surprise yourself. Now, it's good to keep in mind that there are things you've tried and you just can't do it. It costs more in the long run for you to do it. So don't waste your time to keep trying those. I mean, it's already clear. I can't do it. So look at the things you haven't tried. You can do more than you think if you're just willing to stop the excuse making and just start trying to test your limits and try to explore a little bit. I think it helps to do a couple of things. And first, to accept a few facts about you, no matter what your age, what your gender, what your financial status is, whether you're a college grad or not. Here's a few facts. You can learn. You can do more than you think. You have skills. And you have skills that you do not know you have, and they're just waiting to be discovered. You may not do well the first time, but you can improve. And you can be more creative than you currently are. So there's some facts there. Just accept them. Start operating in light of those. And stop making excuses. Somebody said that excuses are the nails used to build a house of failure. We use them to talk ourselves out of trying. They're automatic. Often you don't even realize that you've jumped into your list of reasons why. And it's funny because sometimes I'm doing my excuses when it's, why not try it? I mean, there's no reason not to try it. Or at least maybe just be honest and say, I don't want to. And I think next is it helps to be ready to take a risk. Comfort zones will have to be left so we can get out there and try the new thing. It's just reality. Taking a risk is really good for us. We gain a fresh perspective. It helps get our energy flowing and it gets us out of a rut. We learn new things in the process. We develop a habit of overcoming our fear and our excuses. Even if you fail, you have benefited from taking the risk. And maybe it's good to start thinking that, if I blow this, I've still learned a lot of things. And it just sort of changes your perspective. So risk-taking can be good for you. So, a couple questions. A few questions. What are you going to do that's new? You have to be specific. Read that book. Not read more. Read that book. Join the spin class. Fix that door. Fix that pipe under the sink. Lose that weight and then be specific. How much weight? Figure out your finances. So what are you going to do? Then, what do you need to learn? If you have to learn something to do it, what? And where can you learn it? And, whether it's a YouTube video or asking somebody who's good at it, not to do it, but show you. Third question, what are you waiting for? Start now. Do something now toward accomplishing that. Final question, who can support you? Everybody needs some friends who will support you. And so tell them, I'm doing this. Check on me. I'm gonna try this. Will you check on me and encourage me? Tell them what you want, what you need, so that they can do it. People don't mind doing that kind of thing. Every time you do something like this, it's always amazing because you feel better about yourself. You feel a little confident and you're kind of eager to take on another something. And because we have all this potential and we just get stuck saying no and I don't think I can. So we need to try to step it up and try, because you never know what you can do until you try. Hey, thanks for listening. The goal of this was to be encouraging and get you fired up to try. I hope you do. I'm kind of fired up. I have a couple of things to do. I'm going to try to step up and do one of those today. And I hope you will catch that vision to try stuff. You never know. I really believe that. You never know what you can do until you try. And we're not talking about being a super duper success, make tons of money. We're just talking about normal everyday people like you and me who have some things that we need to get done. And it's just try it, because you might be able to pull it off. So if this was helpful to you, if you liked it, I hope you'll click like. Hope you'll share it if you know somebody that could use this, use watching this, and it would benefit them. And subscribe if you haven't. It's always fun to have new subscribers. And until next time, I hope you have a great week.